The only area where Roma have an edge is in coaching, and that's Mourinho compared to the Sevilla coach, the name eludes me right now. And that is also a confirmation of how not so much of a big wing he is. But talking about quality, I think that on the pitch of play, Sevilla is slightly a better side, but hey, this is a Mourinho team. They might not be better, but it will offer something very, very, stiff. We saw them against Leverkusen in Germany. They weren't spectacular, but they did the midfield, they qualified. And that is the thing about AS Roma. Not colorful, not exciting, not elaborate like every Mourinho team, but very stocky, very stubborn, and can be very difficult to break.
What is the difference in the Sevilla team, Oma? Because when you look at Sevilla playing in the Europa League, as they're known, the kings of the Europa, versus when they play in the league. I mean, I look at their league form. I look at, them having finished in 11th place, etc. And I feel, this might not be such a great team. They might not be up to standard this year. But when they start playing Europa football, there's something different there.
Yes, I think that's something with Spanish side, except Barcelona. When Barcelona, even with Barcelona, but especially Real Madrid and Sevilla, in the Champions League, Real Madrid might struggle domestically, but when they smell the Champions League, the beast in them suddenly comes out. And that's exactly what we're seeing with Sevilla. Like you mentioned, 11th on the log domestically, but in this tournament that they know so well, they've, like I said, and they've basically confirmed their superiority, experience, and dominance by reaching the final. Again, and beating Juventus on the way to the final. Okay, with all due respect, Juventus having been spectacular, of course, with all of their off-the-field problems, you will not be surprised that Sevilla beat them. But you must also give credit to Sevilla because, like I said, this is a tournament they know too well. And the fact that this is the only chance they've got to win the Champions League could have also been a great motivation. They played the Champions League this season. They've had a poor run domestically, but they want to return to the Champions League, and they knew that the only chance they've got to do that was to do well in the Europa League. And they've done that, and they have the final hurdle, which is to win and qualify automatically for the Champions League. So,
we're speaking to Oma Akatugba. Do follow him on Twitter, on social media. He is there, very active, very interactive as well. He shares with you and has conversations with people that do follow him and ask him questions and, debate all things football. He gets involved. He gets in there. It's 25 from the hour 6. This is Sports That Amplified with Andile. I am Andile Ncube. This is the biggest platform for all things sport in Southern Africa. I'm not joking with you when I say we pull the biggest guns, because Oma is with us, a man that just yesterday was in the press conference speaking and addressing a Jose Mourinho, and today here he is talking to us about all things final out in Budapest. It's two teams going up against each other whose history says it's going to be a tough one. There's a saying, Oma, that I enjoy. I've always loved it. It's one of my favorite sayings. They always say I'm poetic when I speak, but listen to this. It goes, what happens when an immovable object meets an unstoppable force? Because that's what today is. It's an immovable object meeting an unstoppable force. Here's a team coached by a man that has never lost a final versus a team on the other side that has gotten 7 out of 7. But today, one of them has to lose. I'm looking at the players on both sides. Now, talk to me about Sevilla. I mean, who's going to be causing problems? Who are some of the players that we need to look out for that have done well building up to this final?
Yeah, for Sevilla, of course, you want to look at players like, Navas. He's experienced. He's old. They fine wine. They say it's like a wine. The older the wine, the better the taste. Jesus Navas is one of them. And of course, don't forget Rakitic. Rakitic, former Barca player, has won the Champions League. He's got a lot of experience. There's also Ocampo for Sevilla going forward. Stocky, very aggressive, very good player there. I think that the thing about Sevilla actually is more of team ethic rather than individual brilliance. And that's the thing about both teams, actually. You're not pointing out one or two players who are absolutely outstanding, but players who are team players, who make their teams solid. for Sevilla, unfortunately, they might be missing, or they will be, not even would or might. Suspended Marcos Acuna, who got a second yellow card in the semi-final against Juventus, and will be missing the final. He's a key player for them, but of course, it's a squad that is replaced with two quality players, and they've got replacement. For AS Roma, I think that you want to look at players like El Shaarawy, Tammy Abraham, if he gets to play, and of course Spinazzola. Spinazzola especially has been very, very key for Roma in their Champions League run. He's been excellent for them. Of course, El Shaarawy as well. Very experienced player. He's been there, he's done that. And of course, Tammy Abraham, who has gotten the highest level of support from Jose Mourinho, and somehow is paying him back, with his performance on the pitch. So overall, I think that it's a clash of two teams that is built around, like I said, team ethic rather than individual brilliance. And of course, just like you said, an unstoppable force against an immovable object. In this case, I guess Mourinho is the unstoppable force, and Sevilla is the immovable object because, of course, they never lost a final. And on the other hand, Mourinho hasn't lost a final. That makes it a delicately poised tie. And of course, I think it will be the best of footballing art history.
I would have thought post that Alex Ferguson phase, where it was undoubted that Alex Ferguson is, at the time when he was leading Man United, the best coach in the world. There was no competition. There was no questions about it. The next person that was taken over was Mourinho. We all spoke about Mourinho being the next thing. Pep has sort of taken that spot now. Where do you rate Mourinho now in terms of coaching, when you see the short stints he spent at teams and, how he's been able to get along and, the trophies he hasn't really been able to comply on? Where do you put him in history at the moment, Jose Mourinho?
This is a very good question, and I need to apologize in advance. I'll get on some nerves, because I know Mourinho is hugely popular in Nigeria and, of course, across the world.
Oh, South Africa too, Oma.
Yes, I think that Mourinho's KPI has dropped. I said this when he took charge of Tottenham. I said it in Lille when I think the news broke out. And I said Mourinho's tag of the special one will be put to a special test at Tottenham. And when I met him in Leipzig, I also said to him that I get the feeling that this will be your most difficult job. Do you feel the same? And he said that I believe that Tottenham will not be the only club, Tottenham will not be the only club I will coach without a silverware. But it ended up that I was right, because Mourinho's, capability was truly tested at Tottenham. And since then, let's be honest, it's been more or less on a downward spiral. He went back to becoming a modest coach. But the truth is, he's working his way back to the top. Because if you take a Roma to the Conference League and win, and now you are taking them to the Europa League final, if he gets to win, that means he's brought them back to the Champions League without qualifying domestically. That is a tough job. A club that is not even the biggest in Italy. Bro, that's not the biggest club in Italy. So if he can take Roma back to the elite level of European football, I think that he's worked his way back and even opened himself up for bigger jobs again, because let's be honest, there were times when Mourinho was the most attractive manager in world football. Mourinho got jobs before one job was over. We saw how he left Inter Milan for Real Madrid after winning the treble. Now, like you said, Pep Guardiola has been the only man who has now put himself on a level where it's almost untouchable. He's never been sacked. And on the other hand, Mourinho has been very, very much sacked, that some of us have turned in the sacked one and not the special one. But I think that he's working his way back to the highest level, and I hope that he gets a job at the top again, because I believe that Mourinho belongs to the top. Again, not just even for his coaching abilities, for his persona, what he brings to the press conference room, and how he always becomes the talking point in the media. Look at that interview yesterday. It's the biggest topic all over the world right now, even taking the shine of the Europa League final. So that's how he's Mourinho is, and that's why I want to see him back at the top. And I think he's working his way back to that level. I hope I'm not offended some persons. I try to be balanced.
When you're saying that, Omar, it almost tells me what you think of the match today. I know it's poised very delicately, but do you think that Mourinho might just have the edge here? Yes, Sevilla have the history, they have the winning pedigree, but their coach doesn't. So what do you think?
Yes. To be honest, I want Mourinho to win. I'll tell you why. Because I'm here, I'm a journalist. I am always looking for content that will make sense for my audience and for those out there. If Mourinho wins, the post-match press conference will be interesting, right? If he doesn't win, you will find a Mourinho with a red face, unhappy one, who will not give you the type of answers that you need. But on the field of play, I think on paper, Sevilla are a better side. Sevilla dominated Juventus in the semi-final. I mean, they didn't win outrightly, but they were a better side, and I think that shows their level. On the other hand, Roma struggled against Bayer Leverkusen in Germany. They scored one goal, and they defended all through, and they were even making fun of them in Germany, that they didn't come out to play against Leverkusen. That is already telling you the strength of the Roma side. But again, Mourinho knows how to play to his strength. That is why he will not come all out and try to entertain you. He knows that Sevilla are a better side, more fluid side, even with better players with more experience. So he will be on the defensive, I beg your pardon, and try to disturb Sevilla from enjoying free-flowing football while trying to hit them on the counter, or at worst, take it into extra time, win on penalty, or try to win by a goal to nothing. Mourinho will not play the swashbuckling football, but he might win. Something tells me it will be difficult. I see Sevilla as the better side on paper, but hey, this is football and it's one game. Anything can happen in the final. A corner kick, a free kick, a goal for Roma, and a lock-up shot, and it's a win. It happens sometimes in football.
Oma, we appreciate you. Thank you so much as always for coming on and talking to us. Where are you right now? Have you made your way to the stadium yet? Or, are you on your way to the stadium? What is the mood like in Budapest?
Good question. I just left the city center. If you've ever been to Budapest, there's a place called the St. Stephen Basilica. It's one of the most beautiful edifices in this country. It's a major tourist attraction. It's in the heart of the city. It's actually on the other side of where I live. I see the building from my window. I went there to feel the atmosphere. You had Roma fans, you had Sevilla fans, all the way from Italy and Spain, lighting up the place, chanting, singing, and having a good time. The atmosphere is beautiful. I think the city is aware that there's entertainment tonight, and that is the way it is right now. I will be leaving right now. After this interview, I'll be making my way to the stadium to enjoy the very best of football. The weather is also quite friendly. It's sunny, but of course, towards the evening, it will become very, very fresh, and that's a very fantastic weather for football and for journalists and fans as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, Victor Osimhen's best friend, Oma Akatugba, talking to us there. Oma Akatugba. Do follow him on social media for the latest and breaking news with European football. Appreciate you, my friend.
One love, one love.
He's out of here. It's Oma Akatugba talking to us from Budapest about the final this evening. Kickoff is at 9 o'clock. If you want to talk about it, please do. 086 000 2160. If you want to send us voice notes, it's 060 552 7303. Women's sport in South Africa. It's great that we're seeing netball being professionalized. We saw football being professionalized. Now it's the turn of rugby. Is it enough? I don't know. And what do we mean when we say a sport is getting professionalized? One team in the entire league in rugby just got professionalized. But what does that actually mean? It is professionalized. You've got a contract. Because surely you had some sort of contract when you were playing before anyway. So what does it actually mean? There's only one team that can answer that. And that's the Blue Bulls. So Women's Rugby High Performance Manager and Vodacom Bulls Special Project is going to be speaking to us, and that is Thando Manana, our guest, when we come back. We're live on Facebook, Twitter, and a little bit later on we will be as well on YouTube and Instagram. So do follow us, the podcast, of course, on metrofm.co.za. Hey, a question, and you can send me voice notes on this one. The coverage of basketball, is it something that Sports Not Amplified viewers, Mapara, are interested in? Do you really want to know, and do you want us to cover basketball? And I'm talking about American basketball. I'm talking about the NBA. Would you like to hear updates on this show? Would you like to hear us go and speak about basketball and get correspondence like we have with Oma in the US, speaking about the playoffs, the championships, etc., etc.? Is this something you're interested in? Basketball. We haven't covered basketball. We had a request yesterday for somebody who was like, "Hey guys, I'd love to know a little bit more about basketball. I'd love you guys to cover basketball, but I'd love to know from you. Does it interest you? Is it something that we're into?" We do cover tennis. It's the Roland Garros on at the moment. And as it goes to the semis and finals, it's something that we'll be talking about and covering. We do the F1, we do the rugby, the cricket, etc. But are you interested in a sport that is largely, to be honest, if not 80, 90%, US based? It's not as bad as going to American football, which is solely US based, but it's grown outside of that. But as far as that is concerned, is it something that you'd like to hear a lot more of here on the show? Speaking of, we used to hear a lot of them here on Metro FM. We don't anymore. Thando Manana is out with the Vodacom Bulls as the Women's Rugby High Performance Manager and also the Vodacom Bulls Special Projects Manager as well. Thando, always a great, great time whenever we come into contact. Welcome to the show for the very first time, and thank you for joining us.
Andile, good evening to you and to your listeners. It's been a while, I have to say, but it's always good to do radio.
Tell me, man, Thando, how's it feel to put the jersey down, to put the tracks down and put the suit and tie on?
Look, I think, Andile, one thing that people have to understand is, I've been in the administration world now for the last 7 to 8 years. And I think for me, what it's been important.
Unbelievable. It's been that long.
Yeah, it's that long, and I think for me what was important was to take the next step, instead of just sitting maybe on Tuesdays and talk about it, it's just to go on to the, where the masses want you to be and make that change. And I think that for me was a game changer for me, because obviously in terms of playing, I was quite exposed to a lot of things in terms of just how the media work. I was quite, exposed to that. But administration, just grew into me year in, year out. And I think I find myself in Pretoria. And, when I started at the Bulls 1st of July, I think many people would have questioned if this could be a reality. And, up until the 7th of January, where the board approved that would become and make it and become the first province or the first union to go into professionalism. And I think for me, I'll tell you one thing, the 6 months having worked a document where you work on actually what you want and what you want to achieve, with the women's space. And I think for me that was quite critical because it's been a long time coming. The landscape of women's sport is finally beginning to shift. That was always what, I had a vision, is that I just needed to make the shift and make the players believe, because without players, the belief is no longer there. So they had to believe in my story and my plan for them going forward. And I was not focused on any other person, but to focus on what the Bulls have given us clear facts, that I come up with a plan. And once the board approved the plan, everything just started working in, getting coaches, negotiating, recruiting. It just became now sort of like a snowball effect. And that for me was just an awe to see. Well, I've always been the one that, sometimes people perceive female sport as people that want to take over. I don't think they do. They just want to take part. But also these are high-performance athletes, so you've got to treat them as such. But if you look at our landscape, you look at South Africa, we've got over 60 million people. But strategically, the growth area for women's rugby is still lagging behind because of not enough exposure, not the enough support it deserves. And that for me is a worrying factor. We have to rally around. I think there is a blueprint, there is a template, and that template comes from the Banyana, who've done it, and everyone now recognizes who Banyana is. Everyone understands what women's sport is. And if you look in the World IRB rankings, we don't even feature in the top 10. But if you look at the men, we want to be number one. So therefore, for me, it's important that if you want to be number one, this is a rugby playing nation. And women certainly have done that over the years. And that for me was always the prerogative, is that this is a sleeping giant. It's got to be woken up. And once it's woken, it can only be miracles going forward.
But Thando, and I often question this, and I'd love to know from you and the Bulls franchise as well. When we say that you've gone professional with the women's side, what are we talking about? What does professional actually mean?
Yeah, look, first and foremost, I know many people would look in hindsight of the remuneration, and the ladies do get remunerated, and that I'll say out.
And this was so they got remunerated before you gave them contracts as well, is what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is that the contract, so they get paid for what they do. So let me just take you back. Last year, the Bulls women were training at about 6:30 to 8 o'clock at night, and then they would take taxis to go home to Soshanguve, to Archville, to the latter parts of Johannesburg, and then converge again the following day. So that was amateur. Now, when you go into the professional era, they start their day at 7:30, which means you've got the coaches meeting up, you've got the leadership coming through at 8 o'clock, and then the team gathers around 8:30, and they work up until 3 o'clock. So actually, it's a day job. So that's what professionally in women's rugby is about, is that they're able to go and do proper strength and conditioning, they're there to get proper nutrition, they're there to get proper coaching from the coaches that we do have in our squad. But also, I think what's important is that if you want to level the playing field, which we've done, is that whenever they travel, they go by air, same as the men, they stay at the same hotel, they eat the same food that is being prepared for the men. So we tick all the boxes in terms of apparel, sport apparel, everything is in sync. So therefore, we understand it's going to take a little bit of time for them to earn what Canon Moody earns nowadays. But also, we're not in a rush. I think for us, it's always going to be a start. It's a first year professionalism in men's started post-1995, and that was in 1996-97. So that's been a long time. If you look at it now, obviously, we're talking about 25 years, and we the first to start it in a couple of months. We're going now 6 months into the program, but I think what is important is that other people are starting to sort of want to follow how we're doing it, and also know that there's a lot of commercial, and that needs to buy into women's rugby going forward, because it has to be sustainable. I think it has to be commercially viable, and the competition has to also be able to generate revenue. And so there's a lot of things in the professional setup. But for us, is to make sure that we have a base and we've got athletes that are knowing how to conduct themselves as professional players. So they train in proper gyms, proper fields, and they get everything. I mean, they do analysis of the game. That's not something that the amateur player can do, because they don't have enough time for that. They've got enough time to feed the kids, to prepare for work, to do everything. These ladies are just waking up and just doing what they love, and that is to play the game.
Thando, we appreciate you, and we're going to be keeping in contact with you and your entire team, of course. We're going to be speaking to a lot of the players as well as we move forward in this professional scheme. And I hope that, the bug that bit you guys and ushered you this way continues to do so within other teams as well, till we see the entire league and every single player who plays rugby with a professional contract and a professional setup is what you've described. Thank you so much for being a part of the show.
Yeah, thank you very much, Andile. Good to chat to you.
A man who's proof that hard work, dedication can get you anywhere. He started off, of course, as a rugby player. He was a journalist and a rugby pundit here at the SABC on Metro FM as well as on 2000. Nowadays, he's got, those long titles. You've made it once you get the long titles. Head of, He's the Women's Rugby High Performance Manager and Vodacom Bulls Special Project.
Andile, yes, sir. Please. Basketball is one of the sports that I've been really hoping that, someday you might start to cover as well. I'm one of the guys that wake up, around 3-4 to watch the games. That's when the games play because of time zones and stuff like that. But sometimes it's hard, so it would be nice to really have a proper, correspondence and like a deeper chat about the games and all of that, especially the NBA finals, which are currently taking place.
Okay. So there you go. One person says, hey, please, basketball. Lepara.
Andile. Jimmy Maga, the busy corner of Motsebe. Yeah, you should talk about basketball, my brother.
Jimmy, how is it looking?
My brother. It's a part of the sports, my brother. And Andile, women in this country, my brother, are not taken seriously. I don't know why, my brother. Maybe we need a minister of sports or Mosadi, my brother. Maybe Basadi Batati was serious. Jimmy Maga, the busy corner of Motsebe.
Thank you so much, Jimmy. Always appreciate it.
Hi, Thando. Hey, Thando. Good evening. Ila here. I don't want to talk to you, but I want to talk
I'm not sure
about
what that
you.
is, so let's
So I'm also
go to the
in
other one over there, Malcolm, because I'm not going to know what Timmy was doing there.
Good evening, Ma'a and the team. You are speaking to Sivu Mqoli in Durban. I would like to comment on the Europa final tonight.
Go for it.
It will be a tough one, difficult one, because both teams are defensive teams. But I got a feeling that Mourinho will take this one. It will be a slight win. I see maybe 1-0 or 2-1, but not big margins. But yeah, let's see. I think if Mourinho can do it, he will go back to be there, the special one. Taking Rome to Champions League, qualifying via winning Europa, that will be magical. So yeah, let's hope and see. Let's see.
Yo, Timmy, Super Dave here. In terms of covering basketball, I say yeah, especially now it's NBA Finals, the Miami Heat going up against the Denver Nuggets.
Hey, man,
the
Super
Denver
Dave.
Nuggets have never won a championship in their history, so they're going for their first chip. Jimmy Butler of the Miami Heat, he's never won a ring. He's also going for his ring. But even though the organization is a championship organization, and a lot of the players from the Miami Heat, they were considered to be guys that weren't drafted in the NBA draft, where they pick new players to join the league. They were never drafted. They got two-way contracts, and now they are some of the best players in the finals when they beat the Boston Celtics in a 7-game series. Gabe Vincent and the likes, so I think, yeah, definitely cover basketball, and also cover the BAL, BAL, the African Basketball League. In South Africa, we have a team that's based in Cape Town. Just interesting story, Dwayne Wade's son, former championship winner with the Miami Heat, Gabriela Union's husband, for those who associate him like that. His son played for the Cape Town team.
Okay. Thank you very much. Super Dave is the technical producer for Touch's show, yeah? Yeah, it is Touch's show on the weekends. Yeah, speaking to us, of course, about saying, hey, man, he'd love to have it. So maybe there you go. Maybe basketball is bigger than what we think and we should. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And yes, Dwayne Wade's son, Zion, he is playing for the Cape Town team. We interviewed him on Sports at 10. I sat down with him a couple of weeks ago. Great young man, that. So it seems it's very popular, but let's hear what more of you think.
A deeper, chat about the games and all of that, especially the NBA finals, which are currently taking place.
Good evening, Ma'a. Good evening, Ma'a. Yesterday you promised us that today you'll be talking about Mamelodi Sundowns getting the stars, but please, man, please.
So listen, Mazola was supposed to be in studio to cover that, because we'd love to break down what the chairman has had to say. And maybe let's pull it up, Timmy, what the chairman had to say about the stars. Because it left more confusion and people wanted to know a little bit more. Even I wanted to know a little bit more. So Mazola promised that he's going to do that homework and come back to us. But tonight, of course, is a playoff game in South Africa. The PSL playoffs are currently ongoing. And today is one of those games. Keswick Stars and Cape Town Spurs have a game. So we couldn't do that because he's covering the game. So he asked that, can I please get time to research this and come back to you guys when I've got time, and then we'll take it from there. Last I checked that game as well, it was 0-0. I'm not sure how it's going at the moment or how it ended, but so Mazola will come back and give us that.
But Andile, look, basketball is it's sports, and at the end of the day, you are the number one, what can I say, sports anchor right now. It's expected that you're going to do basketball. And for me, it's going to be great because my friends talk about it, and but then I try the players, obviously, Jimmy Butler or Jeff Butler or what.
Butler.
Jimmy Butler. Because now I just heard as I was listening to the show, Jimmy Butler and LeBron and whatever. So it really would be nice for you to cover the show. Maybe naming the information when they conversate in the groups. Naming fage ma 2 cent yabo. That'll be really dope. On a side note, Andile, I just want to say I really hope that next season teams like Chiefs and Pirates are going to start to coach their players properly so that they can really compete with Sundowns. I think for me, one of the things that's making this PSL to turn into a farmers league is this thing. These other teams aren't being coached like Sundowns is coaching.
So Cashrick Stars and Cape Town Spurs, that one ended at 1-0, of course. That was the latest. And on Saturday is Cape Town Spurs versus Maritzburg United. Today at 7:30, Maritzburg United play their first one against Cashrick Stars. So that's the game we're waiting for at 7:30. And that's where Omazola's going to be. So he couldn't be here for that day. Let's take West. West is out at Tembi. So West.
Hi, Andile. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. The season is done. It's time for the playoffs. Like I said before, somebody was lucky, and he's always lucky, Mr. Mpenges. Yeah, we congratulate you. We always get it done in the last minute. But yeah, what I want to talk about, Andile, is the Europa final today. Yeah,
big one.
I mean, it's a big game. It's gonna be a big one, and let's see who's gonna drop it. But I still say it will be good for Rakitic.
It would be nice for him. It would be nice for him.
It will be very good for him. I just feel the Sevilla team. I mean, they didn't do so well in the league, but when it came to the cup game, I mean, they've always been outstanding. I mean, they played. They had comebacks. I think they are into win it, and it's gonna be a blow to Jose. I mean, Mourinho has been there, and it's going to be a very big blow. I mean, I will say he really struggled at Roma. I mean, it's not the Mourinho that we used to, the Mourinho that... But
the special one.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe it goes with age. Technology comes in and a lot of things change. I think also a lot of things have changed in football, and that's why he is struggling. I mean, yeah.
All right.
I will say good luck to Sevilla. I think I'm going to go with them this time.
I appreciate it. We're starting to be so. It's becoming a regular on this show, and we see it and we appreciate it. So there it is. Next week, I think we're going to give it a Tuesday, yeah? On a Tuesday. Let's talk basketball. Let's go all the way to America, Timmy. We haven't stepped on this new ground. Let's go to it. Let's educate those that are saying, hey, we love this thing, and those that say, hey, we want to know more about this thing. The finals are currently underway. They start tomorrow. No, Friday, the 2nd of June. I think it's the Nuggets Heat Game 1. Goes up all the way to Game 7, of course. That's going to be on the 19th of June. So we'll cover the games. We'll start next week, Tuesday, and then maybe every week we'll check in for the duration of those 19 days and see how it goes. At 7 o'clock top of the hour. Thanks so much for being a part of the show. We now move on to Sport at 10 at 10:30 this evening on SABC1. Some great guests, some great conversation as well from me and my entire team here, including Lights, Camera, Action that always cover the show. Pella. And it's all me.